Hey everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Bastock and Bachelor Bullshit Busters. I'm Simon Batchelor,
And I'm Adam Bastock.
and this week we are going to be talking about how you can reach a new audience with SEO. So this is, on the face of it, quite a big topic, but actually what we're going to be talking about is a fairly simple principle within SEO, which allows you to grow your audience and measure it over time. So, Adam, do you want to give us a very quick rundown about the kind of concept we're going to be talking about in SEO terms?
Yeah, so the kind of core element of this strategy is branded versus non-branded traffic. So the idea being there that branded traffic is someone searching for a term like Argus, whereas non-branded traffic would be someone searching for wooden TV unit. The idea there and the metric that we would kind of ideally would measure this on is the percentage of traffic that you get per month that is based on your branded terms. So if say you are reliant on 80% of your traffic comes from someone searching your brand name, then that is a high percentage of your traffic that is branded. Whereas if you're only receiving say 20% of your traffic that is coming from branded terms or search terms that include your brand, then that's a much healthier balance. The other thing we want to kind of measure with that is the number of brand searches per month. So it might be that in, say, month one in January, 10 people search for your brand name. You then do a bunch of PR and digital marketing in terms of Facebook ads or Google ads and various other marketing things. And then by June, that's increased to 1,000 people a month searching for your brand. So it's a really good metric just to kind of get an idea or a barometer of how much your brand awareness has increased.
Yes.
I hope
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it does. It's quite interesting. It is a metric that I'll be honest, even we don't particularly track that often, but we're always surprised when we do. It's always interesting to open, your analytics and just look at that. Or Search Console is, also another place. So in
Yeah.
terms of, thinking about it, let's start off with a lead gen example. So not sort of non-e-commerce business. What sort of terms should they be looking for? So let's say we're called Lovely SEO, for example. So if someone types in Lovely SEO audit, then that's a branded term because we've got Lovely
Yes.
SEO is the company and the SEO audit is the thing. But let's say if they just typed in SEO audit and found our website, then that's a non-branded term. So in terms of how we measure that, obviously you were mentioning if you're doing brand awareness, then you're looking for an increase in just the brand. So why is it important to grow the kind of the terms that aren't connected directly to your brand? They don't have the brand attached to them.
Yeah, so I think essentially there's two metrics here that you can measure. One is the number of searches per month that include a branded term. Obviously, then the more searches per month, the more brand awareness you have. The second is the percentage based one. So what percentage of your total traffic is coming from branded searches? The reason you would like to track that and make sure that that branded kind of branded search term isn't too heavily over represented in that. So I think over 50% or so is what I would say. Is that there's a very limited audience that you can kind of reach there. So for myself, most of my traffic does come from people searching Adam Bastock, A Bastock, or stuff like that. Ideally, I would be on terms such as SEO Glasgow, SEO Hove, SEO Audit, e-commerce SEO, stuff like that. The reason being, there's far more terms like that out there. So rather than people searching for just me, it's people searching for SEO as a topic. The other reason being that then just those search terms individually normally have a such much higher volume as well. So people searching for SEO audit might be 2,400 people a month, whereas people searching for Adam Bastock is probably about 10, if that, if I'm lucky. So it's that whole new audience thing, is that at the minute I am only appearing to people who already know me, and therefore it's quite a limited range. If people were searching for broader SEO terms, that is a whole new audience that I am every month bringing in new people who don't know about me, and they are landing on my website and they're being educated about me and my services. And that is then in turn filling up my marketing funnel in theory for whatever else I'm doing.
Yeah.
Whether that be kind of lead gen stuff, as you say, like email nurturing maybe, or just book a call or various stuff. All the way through to like more e-commerce examples where you'd be doing remarketing, retargeting, and perhaps more advanced kind of segmentation and stuff like that.
Yeah. So thinking about that from an e-commerce point of view, because obviously, like from a services point of view, let's say you do financial planning. Let's say.
Yes.
So let's say you're, A and B accountants is your name. So it's A and B accountants financial planning, and that's what's coming in. As you've said, if you can get people just to land on that page for financial planning, then it's essentially doing the same job as an ad, as a Facebook ad or a Google ad. Because rather than bidding on a Google ad for the search term financial planning, your page is appearing at the top of Google for financial planning. So it's a really easy way. No, not easy. It's a simple way of saving yourself money on ads. Obviously, that does take a lot of work and it takes a lot of traction, and you're probably not going to get it for terms like financial planning or garden furniture. But as soon as you start to get a bit more specific, you can then start to get some more traction, as long as it doesn't include like a name you've come up with. So if you've got the kind of like lovely bubbly bath bomb, the lovely bubbly bit is your name. That's your brand. It's still branded. It might not be your company name, but it's your product name. Yeah. So I guess there's still that to play with. Whereas if you could appear for page 1, number 1 for bath bomb, then that's a whole different thing, isn't it?
I think essentially it comes down to that point, is there's just a constantly refreshing group of people who are searching for those sorts of terms, whereas that is not applicable to your brand. Normally your brand name is going to be a fairly slow and steady but high kind of conversion group of people, whereas you want to also be attracting a larger audience of people who are not ready to buy from you. Because as soon as they, it's that top of the funnel thing. Once you're getting them into that top of the funnel, eventually they will convert. And I think that's why the better you start doing on non-branded terms, in turn, eventually you will start doing better on branded terms as well, because people will start discovering your brand on blog posts that you're writing about financial planning, and therefore you will build authority with them, and eventually they will stop searching for financial planning and they will start searching for just A and B accountants.
Yeah.
That's kind of the dream, is that it's that full cycle.
So thinking about that from an e-commerce point of view, because obviously that's brilliant for lead gen, but if I've just got my e-commerce website full of product names, they're all branded keywords. So how do you go about doing that on an e-commerce website?
So this is my favorite tactic, and what I recommend for most e-commerce clients is essentially it's all around collections and categories. So that is how most people shop. If you're searching for, let's go back to the TV cabinet example, you might have, say, 100 TV cabinets on your website. They're each going to have their own unique attributes, and they're each going to have their own kind of unique styles. So you might then want to start creating collections that people, or like landing pages for people to search for, based on white TV cabinets and black TV cabinets and wooden TV cabinets and plastic TV cabinets and metal ones, glass ones, blue ones. Large ones, small ones, medium sized, all those different attributes.
Yeah, all the stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. As soon as you start thinking about it and you start taking that 100 products and you go, well, how many ways can I reorganize these collections that are still useful for a customer? Because one customer might walk into your shop and go, hello, I've got a living room, I've got 50 centimetres to fit in a TV cabinet. Ideally, it'll be black and ideally wooden. And it's like, okay, instantly you can narrow it down to that exact collection. The next customer walks in and they go, I've got a white minimalist room, it's massive, I'm looking for something that's about 1.5 metres wide, what have you got? And then again, it's instantly that kind of product. So that's kind of the e-commerce strategy that I deploy in terms of collections and categories, and just trying to go long tail with that, so that you're bringing in people who may have never searched for your brand before, but are looking for a very specific solution to their problem, and you happen to be the person that they find at that point. They might not convert then, but they'll probably remember your name if you're useful and you've got a good site, and then that's when you might start seeing, once you've built that collection and it starts ranking, 3 months after that, you might then start seeing the term brand name TV cabinet start appearing, as people have started finding you on those long tail search terms and those kind of slightly more niche search terms that then start converting into more relevant kind of branded traffic, as people trust your brand because that's how they found you.
Yeah. So let's say, just thinking about, to expand out on that term that you mentioned there, long tail. So let's say, well, no, it's this way. It's just, so let's think about from a point of, let's think about the width of the cabinet, because that may be, for example, that's just the most common attribute that people select. So you may say TV cabinets 50 millimeters and above, or no, sorry, it'd be TV cabinets under 50 millimeters, TV cabinets under 1 meter long, TV cabinets under 2 meters long, because those are what people would search. Those are what people call you up and say, hello, have you got TV cabinets less than 1 meter? You'd be like, right, I'm going to make a collection for that, because that's obviously what people are looking for. And that is a long tail keyword, because that's the very specific. So it might be white TV cabinets under 1 meter.
Precisely.
And you make a collection for that, which seems mad if you think about it, because you're like, who's going to, why do I need to make a collection that's that specific? But what you've said there is, if you start winning on those very specific searches, then over time you will start to see the branded stuff, because A and B TV cabinets, that is when people know, oh yeah, who is that TV cabinet person they looked up? A and B cabinets.
Exactly.
So they're going to type
exactly
in
what I wanted.
A and B cabinets, yeah.
And I think just to give some example of that long tail and why it's so valuable, long tail basically just means long amount of search terms. So rather than searching TV cabinets, which is 2 words, long tail cabinets is, white TV cabinet under 2 meters is then 6 keywords. So within those, we might have one collection, which is TV cabinets. And then if you actually make that into 20 different collections, that people searching for TV cabinets might be 10,000 people a month. People searching for very specific niche categories might be only 500 a month, but you've got that 20 times. So that you've got the same amount of search volume, but on a wider spread of keywords. And it's more likely that it's easier for you to rank for those terms, and therefore you're going to be expanding your potential reach for non-branded traffic by 20, not 20 times, but by a significant amount. That's why it's so valuable, and that's why it works so well, is it's that whole idea of, rather than putting all your hopes and dreams onto one keyword, you are essentially spreading your bet across a much wider net, and you're constantly reaching new people at those points. And that's what's going to drive your long-term growth. And I think that's what the emphasis here of this episode really is that if you've got an e-commerce store and you're planning to grow over the next 12 months, 2 years, say, that level of kind of breadth of collection is what's going to stand you out and apart from other e-commerce stores.
So I think that's a really good description of the long tail and also the reason behind it. So to kind of link it back round to reaching that new audience, the reason you're reaching a new audience is because you're coming up for searches that don't require your brand name. You are, in essence, solving a problem, you're answering a question, you're fulfilling a need that someone's putting into a search box that isn't related to your that isn't related to your brand. Because if you just rely on your brand, you're very limited, as you said at the beginning. So that new audience is out there. They're searching for what you do. They're hammering it into Google all day, every day, in different ways, with different language, with different words. And it needs a bit of research and a bit of lateral thinking to work out, how can I appear for some of those searches? And as you say, this is a long-term SEO strategy. But as we always say with SEO, it's an investment that keeps paying off. So unlike ads, you could run Google shopping ads, you could turn those on tomorrow and you could be winning 1, maybe 2 or 3 out of 5 of those bids and getting that traffic on your site all day long. But it's going to cost you thousands and thousands. Yeah. Whereas investing in that time into making all those collections, putting all the effort into actually doing that might take you hours, that might take you weeks, months to do across hundreds or thousands of products. But once you've done it, it's just sitting there working, and it's no extra cost. It doesn't cost you any money to keep those collections running, right? So that, I guess, is the difference, because you don't rely on it. It's not pay to play. It's not pay to appear in search. You're suddenly creeping up the search rankings because Google's like, there's just so much great traffic goes to this site. I'm going to uplist their whole homepage, and all of a sudden you may find that your organic traffic is beating your Google shopping traffic.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is it's quite easy with SEO, and this is probably an entirely different podcast, but to go, leaping from 10,000 a month to 100,000 a month with SEO is going to cost you not that much more in terms of a monthly ongoing kind of spend, really. Once you've kind of won that traffic and once you're there, it's normally fairly cheap to kind of keep reaching that scale and that huge volume of traffic, especially when you're spreading it over so many pages, in a way that Google Ads, you would have to, going from 10 times your traffic on Google Ads is going to be an insane amount of cost. Whereas with SEO, it's like, well, actually, if we get lucky with some certain keywords and we target and we're clever with it, that small budget can still go quite a long way in terms of 10 timesing your traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a separate thing though.
Yeah. Well, no, but it is linked. It is linked, and it is that thing of, you can start to find a new audience over time if you play your cards right with SEO. If you get smart with it, make a load of collections, think laterally about how people are going to find you. Yeah. So on lead gen side, it's about making content that are answering those questions, solving those search queries that people are putting in, trying to understand the problem and create the solution. Whereas on the e-commerce side, it's all about trying to match the search intent of someone who is looking for what you do. So, I think that's a really good summary of how you can reach a new audience with SEO. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, do remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes. And if you found this useful and you think someone else that might find it useful, do forward it on. Do spread the word. That'd be great. And yes, if we can help with any questions about this, then do get in touch. Our LinkedIn profiles are listed in the description of this episode or the show notes if you're on podcast. And you can also reach us. Yeah, you can reach us on LinkedIn. And if you've got any suggestions about other episodes that you'd like to hear, any questions that are rattling around in your head that you just can't find the answer to, and you want the bullshit busters to tell you how it works and what the real deal is, then do get in touch with us and we'd be happy to consider your question and make an episode all about it. So we look forward to hearing from you, and until next time, we'll see you later.
See you.
See you. Bye.